I think people know that we've been working hard on an evolution of the BSB regulations over the past 6 months, and now's the time when we're actually making the announcement as to the content of that and the shape of BSB 2012. In the past, we've introduced things like the single-make tyre with Pirelli, which has been a great success. That certainly closed up the racing. A year ago, we introduced the concept of the showdown to ensure that the championship went right to the wire, and that worked perfectly last year with 6 riders fighting for the championship at the very last event at Alton Park. Next year is going to be one regulation. It's going to be Superbike chassis. The World Superbike spec engines will no longer be permitted, and engine regulations will be as Evo is now, but with some important changes to enable a degree of tuning to enable all bikes to become pretty competitive. Essentially, it is variation in camshaft lift and duration are free now. You can also machine, and you can add metal, and you can machine the porting as well. The head can be skimmed as well to vary the compression ratio. What's also possible is that you can use aftermarket con rods, providing they're no lighter than the current component. Otherwise, the engine regulations are as Evo. That's going to bring the cost down of engines really quite substantially. And yet the power output is probably going to be down, I don't know, 10, 15 horsepower, something like that. It's not going to be discernible out on the track. The other big change that we're introducing, which relates to the engine, is the engine management systems. So the regulations for BSB next year across the board will be a spec ECU, a spec Motec ECU, and there will be no gizmos allowed on that. There'll be no anti-wheelie, so it'll be back to throttle control to prevent wheelies. There'll be no traction control, no launch control as well. Rev limit's another key aspect of how this works, and the rev limit is going to be the standard bike's maximum rev limit as can be achieved on a dyno, plus 750. Evo has run with a limit of 500 over maximum. And so whatever the bike's maximum rev limit is, that plus 750 revs. One of the other great things that's, I think, important is that by driving down the cost of actually putting the bikes onto the track, driving down lots of money going on electronics, for example, tuning that costs a huge amount for a very little horsepower gain, we're going to give the opportunity for teams to spend more budget, if they can find it, on the riders. And the way that motor racing should be is that if you can get the cost down, the teams will spend the money on the things that make the difference. And the things that will make the difference will be more on the riders now. And I think we're going to see BSB even more a destination for some great international riders. Another significant change for BSB next year. We want to reward those teams that have been supporting BSB for a long time. There will be a maximum of 32 bikes on the grid for the future. And we will be inviting applications for initially 2-bike teams. We hope there will be enough 16 2-bike teams. And in the future, if people want to come into it, if teams want to graduate into BSB, they'll need to do a deal. They'll need to buy one of the team's entries who are already in it. So all around, I think it's going to be a very exciting time.